Hey, I'm James from Smokin' Dad Barbecue, and today we're doing some baby back ribs on the Kamado Joe along with an amazing side dish. We're going to do some baked mac and cheese on our other Kamado Joe. It's going to be great. And I don't know if the camera's picking that up, even though this is a full-time summer meal and it's May. I'm getting a couple flurries flying by. Spring. Anyways, let me take you inside to a little bit earlier when we trimmed up our baby backs, pulled off that silver skin, and threw on our rub. I'm just letting that rub tack up now, sweat out the meat a little bit, and we're gonna fire up the Kamado Joe and get them on. Okay, so as you saw in fast forward, we went and removed the silver skin from the back of the ribs. An easy trick to make this a little bit less of a hassle to do is take a butter knife, find where you can get under that membrane and use a paper towel, and you're able to pull it off, usually in one try, sometimes two, but it comes off much easier. So now it's time to get our rub on our ribs. We're gonna let that set while we go outside and fire up the Kamado Joe. Alright, so we'll let that tack up and let's go fire up the Joe. Alright, so even though I mentioned we want to be smoking these ribs at around 270 degrees, you can see I've let the temperature come up a little bit higher in the dome than 270. If it's showing up on camera, we're right at about 300 degrees. And so I love to do this for my indirect cooks. I'll put a link in the description below on how I build my fires for low and slow overnight cooking, and it holds steady Eddie. But I've never shown you how to do that with the slow roller, and a couple of you guys have asked if the process is the same, and it is. So I like to overshoot by 30 to 50 degrees, get some heat in the dome, and then we will install the top portion of the slow roller and our vents and adjust our dials. Let me show you what it looks like inside, as we are right at the spot where we want to start slowing down this fire. Right, so if you can see, we've got a smaller fire, but burning better. This is really important for getting good smoke. So when I was building the fire, you saw I put a piece of smoking wood, Texas post oak, right on the bottom grate, added my charcoal on top. Got a little bit too much, so we just played around with our pieces until we had a nice little campfire covering up that piece of oak. And now we have a good burning fire and still not going over the temperature that we want. So we're gonna go ahead and slow this down just a little bit by installing the top of our slow roller and adding the grates. I'm gonna adjust our top vent to just inside the first line and the bottom draft door to about the width of 2 fingers, and see where we land and make any minor adjustments until we're holding 270, and then we can get our ribs on. Alright, our Joe is up to temperature and I'm happy with the color of our smoke. It's no longer that white billowy smoke. Instead we're getting nice clean blue smoke. I can't wait to get these on. So again, the process is going to be 2 hours of smoke, bone side down. And we're going to give this a check maybe in about 45 minutes to 60 minutes, and then we're going to spray them with water just to make sure there's no dry spots. And that's going to go on for the duration of the rest of our 2 hours of smoking. Then we're going to take them off, put them on foil, put a little bit of rub in, a little apple cider vinegar, and we're going to put them meat side down, bone side up, put them back on the grill at the same temperature for another hour. Once that's over, we're going to take them out, sauce them up, and put them back on and let that sauce tack up until we're happy with how they look, and we will be ready to go. In between then, I'll join you over here when it's time to fire up our second Joe and get our mac and cheese ready to go. Let's get these on. Oh, that smoke and charcoal smells amazing. So I'm just going to orient these side by side, front to back. So our our rub has tacked up nicely. So that's sweat right into the meat. Before these cook, these are your last chance to orient the bones. Because how these cook is where they're going to stay. So just make it a little bit easier to slice. If I see a bone running crooked, I like to try and adjust it now, get it straight, and that will just make it a little bit easier to cut through these in about 3 hours time. I think these look pretty good. All right, we are an hour into this cook, and I did a pitmaster peekaboo at the 40-minute mark, and we didn't need spray yet. I think it's about time. So let's take a look together at how these ribs are looking at the 1 hour mark, and I've got a spray bottle behind me to spritz them with some water. Okay, so we are riding right at about 270 degrees. That's my favorite temperature for ribs. Let's see what they look like. Oh, that smells awesome. YouTube, if you're listening, I know you are, there's gotta be a way that you can get that smell to the people watching us. This is awesome. So we are getting close. Actually, that's not bad. And so what I'm checking right now is the scratch test. And the scratch test is when I can rub the rub like that and it's not coming off on my finger. So we're not quite done, but it's also not, just completely sliding off. So I think these are ready to spray. All right, there we go. So as you can see, one of the reasons I love cooking with the slow roller is just no matter where we are on the grill, we are edge to edge, even doneness. There are no hot spots. This thing is phenomenal. It's my favorite way to do ribs, brisket, pork. So nothing's burning. We're just getting great heat. Let me put this back on the tripod and we'll spray. So why are we spraying? So one of the things that spraying does is it helps smoke adhere to our meat. So as we're building that smoke ring and smoke flavor, adding some of that water before the bark is completely set is just going to help with the end product tasting even better. The second thing that it does, and I mentioned earlier as we were taking the walk around those ribs, is it just helps make sure no spots dry out. So sometimes with ribs, you get a thicker end and a thinner end, and not everything is going to cook the exact same. And so spraying anything that looks like it might be drying out will just help keep that meat moist and be awesome when we get to rip into it a little bit later. So now that we've gone that first part where the meat already had some moisture coming out of the package and our rub had pulled some moisture, the salt content had pulled some of that moisture out of the meat, we're going to increase our frequency. And so I know that we waited about an hour out of a 2-hour smoke session before doing our first spritz. But every 15 or 20 minutes now for this next hour, I'm going to give these a spritz. I'll rejoin you when it's time to pull these out and put them in our wrap, since there's nothing else to really see other than we'll just be spraying them really quick. So I'll see you in about an hour, and I'll keep coming out every 15-20 minutes and giving these another little spritz. See you then. All right, our baby backs have been smoking for the past 2 hours, and now it's time to wrap them up. So I'll take you fast forward so you don't have to wait as long to see it all get done. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna take the baby backs off, put them bone side up, meat side down on a foil packet. I'll build up a little bit of a wall so we can pour in some apple cider vinegar, put in a little bit more of our rub, and then I'm gonna put some mayonnaise across the top of the bones. I'll just squirt that right on, and that's just gonna add a little bit more fat that will melt and just help keep the bottom side of our ribs moist and tender. They're gonna be great. So let's take a quick peek one more time, because this is the last time we're gonna see them this way before we pull them out of the foil and we start saucing them up just to see what they look like. And then we'll go fast forward to build our foil pouches. All right, let's take a peek. Oh, I don't want to wait another hour, but we've got to. These are already looking really good, but they're still going to get better. It's going to be worth it. So let's get these in foil. And they are now going to be cooking for another hour, also at about 270 degrees. But now it's time for Fire It Up Part 2. Our mac and cheese is coming together inside, so I'm going to go ahead and get this up to cooking temp. Let's set it up. All right, while I have you, let me show you how I like to set up our divide and conquer system for bulletproof low and slow cooks. I did a whole video on this. I'll put a link in the description below. It's basically everything that I learned from trying to do it all wrong for 10 years of cooking on a Kamado. And when I finally got it figured out and was able to control temperatures, set it, go to bed, and wake up and the grill's exactly where I left it, I did a video. So if that's an interest to you, check out the link in the description. But I'll point out one thing while we're getting set up, just how I like to get heat in our diffuser plates. So we're going to go ahead and install our X accessory rack. And while the fire is coming up to temperature and we've just lit it, I like to put the heat deflector plates in a pizza pie configuration like this, which is going to allow that fire to get plenty of air, just like our microphone is right now, and get some heat into the dome. And so one of the things that helps a ceramic cooker be so fuel efficient and hold its heat is heat in the dome. But if we were just to block all that heat right away and wait till we saw our temperature, we'd actually be in a bit of a yo-yo, because we have a really, really hot fire down low and a cool dome up top. And then it's going to be, hard to figure out what's actually going on. So this will just make it much, much easier to get an accurate temperature reading and consistent convection heat all the way around. So I'll just go ahead and preheat our grills, grids as well. And I got a question in the comments. I sometimes put them both ways, but I want to point out this is actually the correct way to install your grid. Even though they will fit this way, which is fine, and it hooks in like that. If you were doing two-tier cooking and you knocked this, there is a way, where you potentially fall off, and so I read that one follower had that problem, and so I've never knocked them off, and so I know to be really, really careful when we're using those. But just to be safe, go ahead and install your grids against the notch. All right, let's get the second one in and we'll keep warming up before that wind blows out our fire again. All right, we are up to just about 400 degrees. We're aiming for 350, but if you saw my setup video, I always like to overshoot a little bit. That's okay, those plates are open, the flame is coming up and hitting our thermometer, and it should settle in right where we want it. So you're gonna want some high heat gloves for this. If you don't have any, I have a link in the description below. It's an Amazon affiliate link, so full disclosure, I get a little cut of that. You don't pay any more. If you find them somewhere else for less money, by all means go buy those ones. But if you're looking for some good gloves, I like using these ones. They're rated for 900 degrees, allows me to grab those plate diffusers and not burn my hands. All right, we got our mac and cheese on, but let me just give you a second to tell you about, this isn't any ordinary mac and cheese. This is a 3 cheese, a Gruyere, old cheddar, and the star of the show is the kick that we get from a little bit of slap your mama spicy rub, and this has panko instead of regular crumbs. So this stuff, if you haven't had it, is awesome. It's gluten-free, keto-friendly, and we love it for this thing. So thanks Pork Panko for sending me this. I never knew about it before, and we've been loving experimenting with it. It's a great product, so it's definitely going in lots of our dishes from here on out. So we'll give this about 15 to 20 minutes. Give it another check. Total time, I'm expecting closer to 30. Just want to make sure that it's cooking evenly. We start to see it bubbling and boiling along. We're definitely done. We'll get it off the heat. So I think it's about time to get our ribs off. They've just hit their 1 hour mark in foil. So we're gonna get them out, put them back bone side down, and get some barbecue sauce on them and let them tack up. Let's go ahead and do that. Right, let's take a look at our mac and cheese. Oh, fogging up the camera. There we go. Bubbling all the way through. Smells amazing. I think that's done. That's ready to come off. Let's go take a look at our ribs. Oh yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and call that one a win. Those look awesome. Nice and even all the way through. Let's get these inside and slice them up and see how we did. All right, I hope you can tell we got a gorgeous smoke ring on these baby backs. They look and smell phenomenal. Let's dig into first our mac and cheese and see how our 3 cheese pork panko crusted mac and cheese came out, and then I'll dig into a rib and check for doneness. Let's grab a little bit here. This really helps. Like I said earlier, we had some snowflakes today, and this just takes you right to the middle of summer. That mac and cheese is perfect with these ribs. Speaking of the ribs, let's see how those are. So again, before I bite into that, hopefully it's focusing. Just a perfect rib. Let's take a bite. So good. So as you can tell, I like the doneness where you can still bite through. It's tender but not mush, and that smoke is a seasoning, not overpowering. These came out incredible. I'm gonna go join the family. I really hope you liked what you saw today. If you did, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Until then, I'm James from Smoke Dad Barbecue. Have a good one.